Yeah, it's the most easiest way though.
Ba, 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 ba.
Get all adjusted. Oh man.
I'm done. Done fucking with it.
I'm
can't
done.
see me.
I'm done. You can't see me?
I'm engaged.
Now you can.
Now you see me. Now you don't, my friend.
My friend. My friend.
My friend.
My friend.
Speaking of friends, I believe it's rock and roll time.
I believe it's rock and roll time too.
Let's get ready to rock and roll. It's been a
That's
long
right.
time.
Oh, welcome.
know.
What's going on, people of the internet?
Welcome.
Anthony, this is something special. It's not
Oh,
any
okay.
other random podcast.
No,
it's
it's
actually
not.
a new location.
It is a new location coming in at season 2.
Season 2.
That's right.
I'm super excited about that. It's kind of crazy because we've only had 3 podcasts or so.
Yeah.
2 or 3, right?
We had 3.
We had 3. Yeah, we've had 3. For some reason, the one on the YouTube page,
Yeah.
totally I don't see it on there anymore. So I don't know if YouTube took it down. I gotta look at that.
We got
Maybe it's something
canceled.
we said. We got
Yeah.
canceled or
Canceled
something. Anyways, I'll look at that. But yeah, this is we figured since a new location, why not have more of a new season
Right.
with it? You know,
Right.
Episode 1. So super happy about that.
Oh yeah.
How's
I'm not-
yours? Go ahead.
Pretty. No, I was gonna say I'm pretty excited that we're finally. We got another spot. We're here. We're settled, and we tried recording last week. Shit happens.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Had some technical difficulties,
More
but
relaxing.
Yeah.
I will say.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
more relaxing spot.
it really is because we're actually on couches now. Before we were on a table, and I wish y'all could have seen the old room because it was super cool.
It was nice.
We had the walls all done with the foam and the pictures and the cool table and everything. But I feel like sitting on a couch, just kind of chilling, it's just a little more comfortable. And eventually, we're gonna have the video where y'all can actually see that.
Oh yeah.
We just gotta invest a little bit more money and look into our sponsors.
Yeah. That'd be really cool. We got a couple of opportunities of sponsorship. Still got to look into that, but see where it goes.
Yeah, exactly. But guys, if you haven't subscribed, do me a favor and subscribe. We have a big guest today, someone I've been looking up to for quite some time now, and he's finally here on this podcast. This is our
Yes.
first guest. We're super excited about it. Guys, our guest today is a man with many hats. He started in a company called Terminix, then transferred his career to Aero Exterminators. After 10 years of service in the pest control company, he realized he stopped growing in the company. He knew he was worth more than what they were offering. He has since been progressing in a new company called America Choice Inspections, running a multi-million-dollar company, and wears the hat of a CEO. Our guest today has a mindset of investing and mentoring young business minds on how to become the next millionaire. Please welcome Steve Hudak.
How you doing, Hudak?
What's
Thank
up?
Thank you for having me today.
What's
What's going
up,
on,
dude?
man?
Glad to be here, gentlemen. Y'all having fun?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
We got some donuts too.
yes, you brought donuts for us,
Donuts.
man.
Donuts,
It should be the other way
yeah.
around. We should be treating our guests with donuts,
Hey man, we got
massages, and
Hey,
the Star Crunch.
you got the Star Crunch.
want the
that's all
Star
that
Crunch?
matters. Yeah, give me Star
Yeah,
Crunch.
dude.
Oh yeah, let me crackle that shit.
hey, we got you a bottle of water. I mean,
Oh, I get 2, 1 for each hand. Double fisting
There you
Star
go.
Crunches.
Water
here.
and a coffee. It's got
And
a
a
water
coffee.
and a
He
coffee.
got a water
I got
and
the coffee
coffee.
too.
You got
He
the,
got
I got
coffee.
the coffee.
We all got the coffee.
I ain't
That's
got no
funny
coffee.
Man, dude, I'm so glad. So you're not only on the page of just success in general, but you also used to be our ex-manager in the band.
Yeah,
Not
man.
really ex either.
No.
You're still a manager.
No, he's still around.
But
Still
you used to
around.
be you're still around, but you used to be
Mentor
there,
us.
mentor us, and show us how to do things, and you taught us a lot with that. I mean, dude, that's awesome, man. I bought half your
And it-
equipment, so
And it was just a hobby. He was doing
was
it
a
for a hobby.
hobby, yeah.
That's one of the coolest things.
How long you been running sound? How long? What made you get into that?
All right. So that was high school. So I grew up in a big family. I think I've told you guys that. I'm the
Little bit.
second youngest of 6 kids. So
Wow.
really second youngest of 7 kids. I had a sister who passed away a long time ago before I was born. But big family, kind of have a large dynamic. And for me, it went boy, boy, girl, 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 me, girl. so that dynamic was I was raised by my sisters a lot of the times, and I was a little fucker. That's what it comes down to. And but no, so when I was going through school, my parents always taught me, you kind of accept everybody for who they are.
Right.
People earn your respect.
Yeah.
You earn their respect, and it's not gone until somebody loses it. So I started working when I was like 13 years old, and that was like work, like in an apple orchard, pruning apple trees.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Going in the
Wow.
wintertime when school was closed, on snow days and stuff. And they had a theater at our high school, and I had become a thespian through show choir and other things.
Oh, wow.
And I was a nerd.
I loved it.
So all the way from when I was in actually middle school going into high school, I loved doing that sort of stuff. And it all really started when I was like 13 years old. And our high school, North Royalton High School, North Royalton, Ohio, we had the Dan Calabrese Center for the Performing Arts. And our middle school was only like 3 or 4 years old. And they always used the performing arts for their sound and like when they would do musicals. And one year, high school's musical is the same time as middle school. And middle school's like, well, crud, we got to get this theater inside our gymnasium that's only a few years old up and running. None of this stuff was plugged in.
Oh.
And my sister at the time, my older sister, was part of the activities.
Right.
And she was like talking to the director, like, my brother's really handy with this stuff. And, think about this, all right? As an adult in middle school, having somebody say, hey, this 13-year-old better at technical than the people you have doing your technical.
Oh, my goodness.
He could probably help you out. So here I am, 13-year-old kid in middle school, literally hooking up 220 two-phase
Oh my goodness.
lighting, overhead lighting, like strips, battens of lighting, literally hooking up the battens with the custodian helping me as supervision so that I don't get hurt.
Right.
And got it all set up, got all the audio
Figured
hooked
all
up,
of it out.
Figured it all out, had an old soundboard from the high school that they weren't using brought over, hooked it all up, and they did the musical in the middle school.
What kind of soundboard was it?
Oh God, it was old Mackie. It was all analog 16 channel. I mean, had no effects built in, nothing like that. I mean, strictly. I mean, you should have seen our light board was. We used to have run patches for light boards and save them on 3.5-inch floppies so that we wouldn't lose them.
What?
Oh, yeah, dude. But
That's crazy.
But yeah, after that summer, they asked me to come over and start, looking at the lighting and sound they had there. And a year later, I was the technical director, running all the audio and sound for our high school.
At how old were you whenever you became?
Well, I officially became an employee of the school district and was starting to get a check, and I was 14 years old.
What?
What? No way.
So what would happen is in the summertime they would rent the facility out to like dance studios. I did the Miss Greater Cleveland Beauty Pageant, which the next step from that was the Miss Ohio Beauty Pageant.
Wow.
And no, they would rent out the space, so they had students running all the stuff. But when it wasn't during school hours, they couldn't say we were students, so they had to pay us.
Holy cow.
Because
really?
they were charging people from the outside contracts to come work from. So we were employees that the school was making profit off of, so they had to pay us.
That is too cool.
Yep.
Wow.
So
At 14 years
at
old.
14 years old.
And that kind of sparked that music side of you.
Well, I was in show choir, so like I was singing and dancing. I think it was more of this social aspect, just being in front of people and not really caring. And plus, I was in wrestling, so I was a wrestler who was also in show choir, and I was the
Yeah.
So I didn't really hang out with a clique of people.
Right. It was just like multiple.
Friends with everybody.
Yeah, I just
Right.
whoever was cool was my friend, and if and I was, to be honest, when I was younger, I was an annoying little shit. So for me, it was just like it was just because I was energetic as all hell. And as I got older and I got smarter and I started to kind of see it, I look at it now, I want to say the advantage of not being limited to the thought process of one group of people.
Right.
So
you're able to adapt to different groups because of like all the people you're social with.
That's so true because I was like that in high school. I had a lot of different groups. I had like the more of the like welding side group. What are y'all looking at?
There's people
out there outside.
Yeah, there's other renters in the units. We've had so we've had I've had a bunch of different groups, like the welder side, the basketball side.
Yeah.
I've had, like the middle side and the music group, like all the different, it's crazy because each one of those groups have different personalities. They all act differently.
They do. Mm-hmm. See, I was, whenever I was in high school, because I did, y'all know this, all throughout elementary school and, up through high school and stuff, I was doing drum set and played football. So come high school, I was doing marching band and varsity football. And like I got along with all the chorus kids and everything. And then sophomore year, come halftime, I would have to take off my football, my helmet, shoulder pads, put on a bass drum, and then go march.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would go march.
Yeah.
And what was so funny is I remember, I think it was like a homecoming night or something, but like I just smelled bad. You know, I'm a football player, I smell bad. And like the band kids were telling me I smelled like you smell bad,
Yeah,
but it's
get a
like
shower.
it's like whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But it was fun doing that because like I you know, like you were saying, I learned to be able to adapt to different groups because I had
Right.
you know the band.
It's not a
nerds.
bad thing though.
And it's not because there's different people that you know it's like wow, like if I was never in this group with you, I would have never known like who you are and like what you're into, and
Yeah.
really
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you also, you also look at like the people you date, the people you interact with. Like, I
Right.
went from dating a really athletic girl to dating a goth girl that was in theater.
Oh, rock on.
To dating like kind of a preppy-ish girl to then dating like a shy girl. So
Right.
it's like,
Right.
It was like it also opened that up, and when you do that, like even nowadays, it kind of reflects the thought process that I have in like the world today. Like I look at a lot of this stuff. Like I have a who was a sister-in-law that's now my brother-in-law. That's
Yeah.
And so it went from Amanda to Nick.
Right.
And I'm like, so to me, I grew up with Amanda like as her like from when she was like she had to be like 9 or 10 years old all the way to where she is now. So I've known her my whole life, and it's like went from Amanda to Nick. But to me, it's still
still.
I mean, it's the person. It
Right.
really doesn't matter what it
Right.
wants to be called.
Right. Exactly.
And so it's really for me, for me, I put everything around humor. I have all my funny.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I joke
We
around,
know
that
best,
But
Reed.
that's my family. But I mean, I look at it but my parents taught me like because of the way I was raised, and I was the black sheep of the family because
Right.
it really went boy who hung out,
Yeah.
and girl, and the girls all hung out. So I was just the dude kind of there.
Right.
But my mom says it makes me the most resilient. I could put up with the most shit.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot, but it also I don't make decisions emotionally, if that makes
Right.
sense.
You're able to separate the two.
Do it rationally.
And it's very easy for people to do that. And that's I mean, regardless of I don't care what I can go through the science, the thought process, the evolution of it. But even now, what happens is when you have decisions in mainstream society, political, whatever, being made off emotions, they're not the best decisions.
Right.
Of the time.
Right.
When was the last time you made an emotional decision that lasted?
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
God. Yeah.
I mean, give it to me because people say, the person that I married. Well, yeah, but even when you do that, there's a certain aspect of logic, and that's the issue that relationships have when they get married.
Right.
They base it off emotion, and then they have to add logic later on.
Right.
That's why they fail.
They jump into it too
Oh,
quick.
too quickly.
Too quick.
Exactly.
So almost like you're skipping the like the lovely side, and you're going right into the serious side, and then it kind of comes back.
You
Exactly.
don't get to know each other.
You
Right.
don't know how to fight.
No.
You don't know how to. Yes, you
You
don't.
don't
and
know how
when
to
you
fight.
when
Does it
you
help?
argue it, like, let me put it this way. When me and my wife first got together, like we've been together for 5 years, but when we're married now, but when we first got together, we had to learn how to fight. Now, if we had gotten married when we had first gotten together, dude,
Oh God.
we wouldn't be together right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to learn to
Y'all been-
know each other. Boundaries is a big thing. You got to know each
Mhm.
other's boundaries
Right.
too.
I'll be with my wife Sarah. I'll be with her 10 years this October.
Oh,
How does that
congrats.
feel?
That's
Married.
awesome.
How does that feel,
It
man?
feels like, honestly, it feels natural. And I
Yeah.
mean, and that's 10 years married. We were together for 9 years before we got married.
Wow.
So we had lived together, we have fought, we had
Really?
broken up, we have gotten back together, we
Holy
have broken
cow.
up again, we
Oh
lived
my
together for a
gosh.
while, we moved to another state together, and then we decided to get married. Well, she wanted to get married the whole time. I decided to get married because I was the one who had to man up.
Right.
And it was a decision between, I think Anthony and I said, between, big boy jobs and not
Right.
you have to
Right.
take on the accountability with it.
Right.
But I think also I understood what that meant because of watching my dad. And it was like, all right, I knew that if I chose this commitment, I'm staying with you no matter what.
Yep.
I'm going to be doing my
There-
whole life now gets I'm not going to use the word sacrifice, but it gets applied to this family.
Right.
Right.
Every decision you make.
In my personal preference comes second. That's all it comes down to. It comes after
Because
the
y'all
family.
are a team. Yep.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, I like
And
that. Yeah.
that is regardless if she sees it the other way or not.
Right.
Right.
And that's the hard part people have to
Right.
learn. And so after we got married, we went through toughish times. I'm not gonna say crazy. I never packed up and left, nothing like that. But I mean, we're 4 kids now. My oldest is 7. He'll be turning 8 this year.
Wow.
And so 4 kids in, it's like, I'm committed.
Yeah.
But
it's just like a little Steve running around.
Yeah.
Just like you.
the 4 littles.
4 little, yeah, 4 littles, yeah.
I feel bad for society in the future.
Yeah.
You have no idea how many times I look at my oldest daughter and I say, I feel bad for the man who falls in love with you.
Oh.
No, she's my
Oh
fault.
my goodness.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, back to So I got sorry, we got on a tangent about family and stuff.
Oh,
but-
dude, no, it's,
good.
this
No,
podcast,
you're
yeah,
good.
talk about whatever. But yeah, man, that's awesome though. With like the whole sound thing, man. Like when you're out there, I mean, Steve's the type of guy we'll be mid playing, and the monitor will go out, and he'll come out with a solder gun as we're playing and
As we're
fixing
playing.
it. Like that's Steve. Like
Yeah.
when he signs up for something, you take it like full throttle. Like you give it 110%. And that's like something like that you taught me to like, something I really appreciate is the music and that kind of stuff, my job. Give it 110%. And like, you never know. One day you can be, the owner of whatever company,
Right.
And that's where you're kind of heading towards now. He's, not that you left the band, but you wanted to branch out, right? To
Work
be
on
that
your
next millionaire,
personal
right?
goals.
Yeah, not just that. I mean, even like with the band, the management, for me, managing bands, it was fun. It was the hobby.
It's
And
like
I
a
had-
hobby, yeah.
But I
Yeah.
had to reassess so like you said, 110%. If I can't do something fully, or I get to a point in my career or life where, all right, priority shifted,
Mhm.
I know I can't commit enough to the bands
It-
to
it-
where they say I have a show. I'm not going to be the reason you can't do a show. So,
Right.
And the only way to make that transition, and I'm not using the word force it, is to know that I'm going to be able to support you, because that to me, that's the commitment.
Yep.
The
Right.
commitment is, listen, guys, I can't be your manager anymore, but here, listen. It broke my heart to sell the equipment. I didn't have to sell the equipment. I could
Yeah.
have put it in storage and kept it, and I knew that. And I know, like, even now I can't even get some of that equipment anymore. And it's like, all right, this sucks, but I know it's going to people I care about that are going to use it. And I know that for me to be able to support you guys as friends,
Mhm.
you can call me and I can walk you through it over the phone
Over
because
the
I'm
phone.
familiar with
which
it.
has happened. Which has happened so many times. Like
Yeah.
you really have supported me. Like you're still a manager in my eyes. Like you've
appreciate
definitely supported me though. Like I'm big Steve. I'm mid show right now. I'm having a problem with this. He goes, "Oh, do this, this, and this, and turn the phantom power on or some shit like that." I called you about that one.
Yeah,
day.
yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
But I mean, dude, you've done so good at all that, and this new stretch now with the company you've been with. I mean, you have some big goals with that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you generally made the decision to horizon the company to a different state.
Well, and right now with Texas is really the market to be in. So to give you an idea, like Dallas, Texas, the
Right.
city of Dallas has the same population of our entire state.
Wow. That's
So-
that's
I
a lot.
believe that. Though.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
Texas
when-
is so huge.
It is. And so when you think about like expansion and growth, so, and I think I don't know if I've told you guys this, before I got married, I made goals for my life. One was before I was 30, I was going to own a house and sell it. By the time I was 30, by the time I was 35, I was going to be out of debt. And by the time I'm 40, I was going to be a millionaire. And right now I'm on track for my third goal.
Rock
I
on.
have owned a house, sold a house, and selling, got out of debt. Got out of debt, lived out of that house for 4 years, bought a new house, and consequently in debt from the new house a little bit. Sorry, market going up 50%
Oh,
or
yeah,
whatever.
right.
Either way. So in a new house now, but now I am on track to be a millionaire by the time I'm 40.
Rock
and I'm
on.
going to be.
Right.
And when
Going
I
to
say
be,
I'm
yeah.
going to be, it's not when you have the mindset of, and you know what? Millionaire was a great goal when I was 20. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, why didn't I put a B in front of that illionaire?
Yeah.
True,
And,
yeah.
and now my goals are changing.
Right.
And my view is changing. Now what I'm trying to do is balance and there's a lot of, again, studied psychology behind it, of how much I need to be involved with my family and how much I want to be a billionaire. And it's
Gotcha.
'cause
You got to
it's-
find the.
The balance.
Because
Fair
I'm
line,
going, any billionaire out there other than inherited, self-made, you look at Elon Musk. I mean, Elon Musk got how many kids now? 7
Oh my
kids?
God,
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's gone with several wives, and all that is a testament to him because listen, the dude can put a rocket in outer space. He can focus on a relationship and keep it going.
Oh yeah.
For him, it was about priorities, and I don't even know the guy, and I would love to one day, but I don't know him. But just viewing it from the outside looking in, anybody that can put a rocket in space can focus that time and keep a marriage together.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Oh,
what
yeah.
it was, hey, no, he was spending the nights at the office and he was sleeping there. Yeah, if I was a wife, I wouldn't want that for my kids.
No.
I would rather, sorry, dude, screw you. I'm gonna and that's just basic psychology.
Right.
That is evolution. It's nothing against the person. That's evolution.
No.
And a mom should do that if that's what the husband decided. I guess where the fault was either that person not completely understanding what was involved going in, or the drive and commitment of somebody who's so focused,
Right.
that's what they're going to do. So for me, I recognize that because I can get so focused on something, whether it be a band, whether it be work, to where the first thing that comes out of my line of sight is my family. That's easy to do. Oh, I got to work late tonight. Oh, man, I got to do this. Where I found a balance is I now make my days earlier. Because when it's early in the morning, it doesn't
Right.
affect my family.
Exactly.
So if I wake up at 4:00 in the morning
Right.
and start working, it doesn't affect my wife, doesn't affect my kids. I might be tired, but that's my choice.
Right.
So
right.
But you're able to find the balance to where
I'm finding it.
Yeah.
I'm finding it, and it's a constantly changing battle. So you're talking about going in other states, wanting to do that is, in my mind, yeah, that's growth. But where does my family need me? I've got a son who's really super smart mentally, but emotionally he's not there. So he needs support from me to keep him in check. So I have
Right.
to be there for that. I've got, a wife who's doing baking and she's finding her way and what her self-worth is. And now she's got a baking company.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
So,
amazing.
yeah. And she's
What's
doing
it called?
Mayhem Confections.
Where can they find it? Where can they find it?
Facebook, Mayhem Confections on Facebook. No,
Okay,
check that
cool.
out, too.
Yeah.
she does, when I talk about amazing work, she's incredibly talented. I told her today, like, if we want our goal that when our kids are in preschool, like my youngest, like in the next 2 years, where we buy you a spot and have you do that, and even if it doesn't make money, like your own private kitchen somewhere, like we can do that. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, we just have to have the same goals. So I don't want those goals just for
right.
me. I want them for her.
Right.
That's the growth and
Yeah.
the relationship, how that
Work.
You know.
how it
Yeah.
works. Y'all on the same. If you're on the same page,
Yeah, she wants it now, but we have kids.
Right.
So
Right.
I
It's a little
gotta,
challenging.
I gotta bring her back. Like, hey, babe, listen, we gotta take care of the kids first. And, take care of the house and family. But no, she's got that drive, which is good.
That's cool.
Having that drive though with anything you do, I feel like is just so important. And
It
truly
is.
liking what you do.
Right.
Like genuinely like what I do for work. I'm content. I like what I'm doing.
Mhm.
Am I comfortable? Yes. A lot of people would say, well, get out of that comfort zone, go do something that
Right.
that you really want to do. And I don't know, like, is that kind of what you're doing, Steve? Like, is that kind of where with your company, because you've been with the pest control side of things for a good bit now, right? I mean,
Yeah,
and now you're doing home inspections too.
yeah, I'm doing home inspections,
And those kind of go hand in hand sometimes.
absolutely.
You know?
So, what made you get into that side of career?
Yeah, let me explain that. And I want to clarify something really quick. I started working when I was 13 years old,
Yeah.
and I'm 36 years old now. In that length of time, I have to look at the math. 20-some years.
23.
Yep, 23 years. I have worked for 5 companies in 23 years. I worked for Bruce Grayson, Royalton Farms. Worked for Pac Van, which also went to a company called William Scotsman, then Terminix, then Aero Exterminators. I'm on my 6th company now,
Wow.
and that long. So when you look at my resume,
Yeah.
the biggest problem I have are people when I look at resumes to hire people is work there for 6 months, work there for 3
Yeah,
months.
and then go to switch jobs, but
And I'll revisit that, but I want to answer your question first, Chris, about why I came to where I am with home inspections. So working in pest control was great. I worked for a phenomenal company, Aero. The owners were very culture oriented. Emily and Thomas Kendrick, the owner, and they taught me going from Terminix, which was a very business oriented company, and rightfully so because of their dynamic of their company. They had to be. To a company that was a little bit more of, hey, let's talk about business later, let's talk about culture today. And that kind of mindset taught me a lot over the time that I was there. And it got to a point where it was a corporation. Like, to make the next step for me was going to be in a position that I didn't know I wanted to be in. I was going to be away from my family a lot more. I was going to have to be, a lot more away from my family, committed in things that I really didn't want other people being involved in the decision making on certain things. And I saw that happening. It happens at every corporate level.
Right.
I don't care what company you are. When you get to $300-400 million a year, your goals are protecting that 300 to 400 million, because it's no longer about you. It's about if
company,
if the company makes a decision about Joe, Joe's, then that means that can affect 10 other people
Right.
elsewhere in the company indirectly, either through HR reasons, whatever. So your mindset has to change. And a lot of that bureaucracy and red tape was getting in the way. And when I say getting in the way, it was affecting my day-to-day in things that I had no control over. So I'm like, all right, this doesn't bode well with me. And when I say it's like things that affected my income that other people were making decisions about that I couldn't get involved in because of, politics. And I'm like, no, this doesn't. So for me, it was like, all right, do I want to continue to do this? My heart wasn't in it. And I'm like, I'm either going to go start my own company or find somebody or something that's in a position where I can find a lead source to build a company like that. And in pest control, the best lead source is new homeowners. It just is. Because if an existing homeowner calls you, they probably already have a problem.
Gotcha.
And if there's already a problem, it's going to take time. They're going to be harder. Now, if you get new homeowners, you're starting to literally treat their homes before they have a problem.
Right.
So now they're going to be better clients who are going to be happier with you. As a company, we invest less money into it because we're not having to knock out German roaches, whatever it is. We get to do that, and we get to give them a high level of service from the
Gotcha.
get-go. And so we get to give them something.
And they're
awesome.
going to love that. They're going to appreciate it. You're going to have that nice
Exactly.
relationship with them too.
Exactly. So home inspections was, all right, you find $1 million home inspection company, $2 million. They do roughly 1,200 inspections a year. That's 1,200 leads I have to follow up with before they close on that house. And that house information then goes out to the big boys who pay for that information. So I have access to the client before any other major company does.
Wow.
So think about that. So when you buy a house, about 30 days after, all of your information gets uploaded to GIS, all right, which is the tax record services. Every county has it. There are companies that pull that information from those closings county by county, client's name, their phone number, email address, and really a big one's it's just the client's name and on the home address that they closed on, because that's all public information. They compile it and sell it to big companies like Orkin and Terminix, and they say, hey, big guys, here's a bunch of people that just moved in this county. If you want to build your client base here, we'll sell you this list of information for X amount of dollars. And they'll spend millions of dollars a year on this type of information. People, they talk about things like Musk and all that. What y'all don't realize is the largest revenue generating anything right now is information. And it's not information like, oh, what's Anthony's first name, last name? No. What's Anthony probably going to do tomorrow? What store is Anthony going to probably go to within the next 30 days?
How do they get that information?
Oh, boy. Whoa. We'll get to that. So information is worth a lot. And when you're a home inspection company, I'm able to get access to 1,200 leads before any other big boy ever can. I get to work them. I get to sell them.
And they're paying big money for it.
Paying big money for it. I get it for free. Not only do I get it for free, people are paying me to do a service for them and get that information. Not only I have more information than they get the name and the address. I have the name, the email, the phone number, the husband's names, the wife's name. I have how much they paid for. I mean, I've had employees at the house looking at it, and I have a detailed report about everything on that home before the client even puts it on GIS and makes an offer on the house.
Wow.
Or closes on the house.
Wow. So you're already one step ahead.
I'm 10 steps ahead. And so for me, it was like with pest control, it's like, man, even any services, you think like HVAC services, I'm like, dang, if I get in a service related that has that kind of impact and that kind of lead source, this could be very lucrative. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I started testing out in different places, did a little work in Texas, went up to Ohio. So I'm like, I don't know. And so now what we've done, so we did that last March. Okay. So we started doing pest control last March, met the owner Arvel Price, really awesome dude, has a really long, extensive history in real estate and teaches it. So not only so I have an owner who has a foot in the industry. He and I get along.
Right.
We can fight with each other like marriage. We get along. I know he'll tell me what's on his mind without thinking, and that's good. I work well with a person like that. which was a decision that I made. Some people don't bode well with people who are direct with them. I do.
Right.
So
I like straightforward.
Me too.
No, when I say straightforward, you guys have an idea of straightforward. I'm talking about straightforward to the point where it's almost rude.
Like that's a stupid ass idea. Like something
Yeah,
like to that extent.
like why, like asking rhetorical questions. Why would this happen like this when you know it wasn't you? And it's like, all right, I understand, but no, it's okay for me, and but yeah, so I decided to, all right, I want to get in on this. It makes a lot of sense to me. I see where the money and the value is. What I didn't anticipate happening was the experience I had when I first got into pest control in sales has turned into a whole nother animal. Like coaching, taking companies who are doing this and saying, hey, I know you're doing this, but let me tell you something. I know how you can do this consistently through all your people and generate a massive amount of revenue off of these steps that I've developed by my experience and success in the past. And now it's going into this niche market of businesses that are range anywhere between 100,000 and 30 million that are like, we've always struggled with that. And I'm like, not only do I do it, now I've been able to prove it. And now I can tell you how to really multiply your revenue based off of this lead source.
So how many people are out there that are like you being able to do that with
So
yeah, like how many people have that information?
So you got to think, so right now, there's at least a couple hundred home inspection companies that I know of that are doing pest control as well. Most of them aren't doing pest control under the same name as their home inspection company, and let me explain why they're doing this. When I do a home inspection, the chances of me being able to prove that a client, a homeowner, is going to ever come back to me for service again and hire me when they buy their next house is very unlikely. It's a one-off. You build a relationship with the agent. You show you could do a really good job in the best interest of that client. The agent says, wow, this company has shown me that they're probably the best option for the price range. They recommend us to the client. The client goes with our service, and then we follow through. That's it. With pest control, I can go to Anthony's house and say, Anthony, you have an ongoing issue with ants. I'm going to charge you this quarterly service on an ongoing contract that never ends, and I can statistically guarantee how long of a customer you'll be and how much money I'm going to make off of you in the next 5 years.
Wow.
And I can do that based off of how many services you have, because I know that clients that have multiple services are going to stay with me longer.
Yeah.
Because they have more invested and they're getting a better discount because we have multiple services.
Right.
And what that's called is reoccurring revenue. And the beautiful part about reoccurring revenue is a business that's looking to buy a business that has reoccurring revenue can statistically analyze that data and say, I'm almost guaranteed that over the next 5 years, I'm going to make this much money,
right,
which makes that business more valuable.
Because you already have it as everything.
Exactly. So a $3 million home inspection company is probably worth $250,000 or $2.5 million.
Right.
Okay.
Got you.
A $3 million pest control company is worth anywhere between $9 and $12 million.
That's a big. Wow.
So now when you think about time invested, I can build $1 million pest control company in 12 months and sell it for $3 million. Wow. Yeah. So what's happened is with that data and showing it is I had to take a proof of concept, which was, all right, I have resources. I have home inspections, right? I had a couple people that worked for me that hadn't really started a company. They were on the same level as me as like really starting. We were both lost. We were lost, and they didn't work out. And I recognized that. And both were friends, but they were people that knew what they were doing in the industry. They weren't the fit. That's okay. There's a culture aspect there, right? And I came to realize that I really need to test this out. I really need to follow through with myself.
Right.
Get in the truck. I'm the licensee holder, so I could do whatever services I want. I'll load up my truck with everything I need and let me get a really good month's worth of work in to see what I can do. Well, 1 month, $67,000 in sold businesses off 150 leads.
Wow.
By myself.
No, do you
That's
just
pretty
go to these
That's
companies?
amazing.
Do you just
No,
walk in? And
No,
just...
they're not companies. They're homeowners.
Right.
They're coming to
So
they're
what?
coming to you.
Yeah,
or he's following up and reaching
No.
out. Like,
Yeah, following up, reaching
Yeah.
out. So what happens is the client does a home inspection with us. They automatically get a free initial pest control service with no strings attached. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to have my opportunity for free to show them what I can do. I show up, set the expectation for them what today is. This is what I'm doing today. All right. I do my thing. I'm not going to go through all the details, but I do my thing. I do my inspection, get all my data together, then go and sit back down with them afterwards and be like, hey, everything looked good or didn't look good. Here's what I found. Here's what I did about what I found. Here's what I can't do based off of the service you have, but here's what we can do to correct it going forward. Would you like us to take care of that for you today? That's it.
Right.
And my theory, I have two theories. One, inform the homeowner about so much stuff about their home that no other company can come in behind me and screw them.
Ah, right.
I want
right.
I'm not selling it as I want to be the person to do it. I'm selling is I'm trying to give you all the information
Right.
and why it needs to be this way.
Right.
So that way when Joe Schmo Big O comes
And they're
in,
like, oh,
behind me,
you need this,
yeah,
that.
exactly.
blah, blah,
And
blah.
they're exactly.
And they've already built a relationship with you. They already trust you. It's like
You've
this person
checked
already
every
came in.
aspect of the house.
Exactly. Hey, listen, if I encourage you to get other pricing, here's my card. Even if you don't hire me and you want me to look at it afterwards, give me a call and
Right.
I'll give you a second set of eyes.
Oh my God, you see this all the time with the automotive industry. So many things. It's like oh well, you need this, and that. Well, my buddy just told me that I don't need all this.
Exactly.
So
It's preference.
yeah,
So what people ends up businesses sell off preference and off of profits instead of facts, and that's
Right.
where they fail. So
They
I
upcharge you so much.
they do. So, and there's certain things that so one of the unique opportunities I have since I run the financials, I look at the P&L, I order the product, I pay for the insurance, I hire the people, I pay the health insurance, I know what the workers, I know what all of those transactions are.
right.
I can tell you what I have to charge something to make a profit, and I know what my profit goal is. So I can take that dollar amount, type in that in, be like, listen, I'm the one selling it, I'm the manager. You're a really nice person. You were putting it. This actually happened to me just a couple weeks ago. You're a really tough person put in a really tough situation. Okay, it wasn't their fault. Wasn't our fault. It was something that was found later on. This whole area needs to be treated. Well, okay, I can't help you out. I'm the owner. I'm not going to pay myself a sales commission. I get a salary. I do have to make sure I get profit because we run a business.
Right.
And I make that, listen, I'm not going to give it away for free because I think my service is worth something.
Right.
My information.
You
is.
know the worth. You know the
Exactly.
value.
I go over that and I said, this is what I could do it for. We may not be the cheapest, but I know we're going to be the best. And by the way, I'm going to be one of the people out here doing the work for you. And so you do that.
I bet they love seeing that.
Oh my gosh, when I'm there with a shovel doing it,
Yeah.
So it was a proof of concept of what my mindset, culture, and ideas were to build this. And now I've done it, proven it, exceeded the expectations because I was thinking maybe like 30 grand in a month, 67. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I literally have more work than I can get done I see reasonable. I do a really good job communicating expectations so they know when they're on the schedule. But I would prefer to get all this stuff done within that week because then I can continue to go out and sell instead of working on it.
Right.
So I recognize that I can build something that's so valuable that I can potentially have the owner of this company retire, give it to me, and then I now have a future where I can build something. I can rinse and repeat.
Right.
And then every time I do that, I prove concept more, which means in my future, I don't have to build businesses. I can coach other businesses how to do what I do.
Exactly.
And all I have to do is give information without picking up a shovel. And
Right.
now my mind became my muscles. And now I can communicate and build programs, custom programs for other home inspection companies that are trying to build pest control and make them profitable and really make the big boys work.
Right. Right. And you understand all the work because you've gone through.
I've done it and I'm
Right.
proving
Right.
it. I'm proving it. And now I'm at the point in all that where I need to replicate it.
Right.
So when we talked about like other states for home inspections, it was really quick for me to think about, wait a minute, that's not going to be profitable. It might generate revenue over time, but why wouldn't I perfect what I'm doing here
Right.
first? Then
Build a foundation here.
instead of going up to Ohio or Texas or Indiana, Virginia, and building another home inspection and pest control company, unless my plan is no longer building home inspections. My plan is replicating what I'm doing here in
Right.
other states. I'm building I'm starting a home inspection company as my lead source, but I'm starting a pest control company at the same
Right.
time. And now all I'm doing is replicating results.
And if you can continue doing it, you've already experimented.
Exactly.
And you
I
have
can
a whole way to like, all right, we can do this now.
And the more
over here.
successful I get, the more reputation and success my process becomes, and the more valuable that becomes.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was looking up I don't know if you use this for this saying or whatever, but you ever heard of like the format and breaking it down, what it stands for to get information out of a customer? It's what it stands for is family, occupation, recreation, motivation, animals, and teams.
Yep, I've heard of that.
Have you heard of that? Do you use that?
I don't. And the only reason why is for me, I feel just for me at least, I feel like everybody connects a little bit different, and there is a skill set in communication that can't be replicated by process or standard operating procedure. There just isn't.
Mhm.
And that is reading people and really understanding what they're doing. And for me, for a long time, actually as a child, it was something I struggled with, but I was always very social. I was always very social. And it was always natural to me. You know, I worked at a gun shop when I was landscaping. That was fun, but I used to sell guns before I was even legally allowed to own them. But because the owner was there, so the owner would be the one doing the paperwork, I would just be the one giving my opinion and talking with people.
Oh,
and it was always talking with them, hey, what do you need this for? What are you doing with this? Well, I want something to protect myself. Well, what's your level of experience? Well, it's new for me. You need something simple. Let's look at something simple. And I catered to the person.
Right.
And I directed them in a good way.
And you're able to fit their category of like what the...
Exactly. So when you talk about talking with a client, Chris, I have a strong theory that homeowners own that home, make their money, and that's the one part of their life that they own that nobody told them what to do. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm going to give them the information in a way and let them decide. So I do get to know my people that I'm talking with, but I can go to somebody's house, know their name, know nothing about their life, give them the information, educate them, and still sell it just as easy as I would with somebody that I knew how many dogs they have.
Awesome.
Right.
I mean, and the reason is because if you can set that expectation walking in that I'm here to do something professional for you, I'm going to give you professional results, and I'm going to give you information that you can go through and use to make a good decision. And I hope I'm the person you make that decision for. But if I'm not, at least you have it all.
At least you have it,
You
and
have
at
all
least you set a good representation of yourself, you know?
And
you represent yourself and the company, and you build that connection. 'Cause that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
What's helped me a lot, too, with, like, sales and stuff, is I'm very open. Like, I'm very, like, honest. Like, I feel like I'm humble when I'm around people, and that's what helps me, you know, form that connection with those customers, and that's why they want to deal with you. So if you form that, you know, like, just a strong connection with them, I think that's number one.
Yeah.
Instead of just going right up to them and be like, you know, for instance, I sell boats. I don't sell boats, but, you know, I work at a dealership. Going right up to them and be like, hey, what boat do you want to buy? Instead, go up to them and be like, hey, how you guys doing? Welcome, you know, like, you know, what brings you guys in? Where are you from? You know?
Right. Don't force the sale.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And we can get on that more of on a different podcast too. You know,
Right.
Well, that's a different types of sales.
It's
different when somebody's coming to you than when you're going
when
to
you're going
them.
to
When you
them.
reach out.
Yeah,
You're going into their safe space. You don't need to make them feel comfortable. When they're coming to you, you need to make it a safe space so they
Right.
feel comfortable.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it too. Yeah, that's 100%.
Well, then if they go with your service, they're going to tell other people about your service too.
Exactly.
And that's where more leads come in.
Communication is like the biggest, like, I guess, advertisement. I've heard that a lot.
Yeah,
That, you know,
Well, I mean-
word of mouth or word.
Word of
yeah,
mouth.
word of
mouth.
mouth. Yeah,
I know. So my company, the company I started March of 2022. So last year March, right? I know that in these last 32 days, I know for a fact I sold more than a $3 million office of my previous company. Because I know
Wow.
people that work there, and they're like, "Wait, how much did you sell, Hudak?" I'm like, "I'm at 67,000. Like, we're missing our sales goal this month. We're like 36." And so
Oh my God.
and I'm like, so think about that. This little company that no one's ever heard of, just by word of mouth, with no
Right.
advertising, no, just a
Right.
little bit of SEO, no Google ads, nothing like that, is outperforming the big dogs.
Yeah.
And so if I can maintain that and scale it and duplicate me, not necessarily me, but my thought process into other people, it's going to be extravagant. And that's where
Right.
I am now. Now I'm like, all right, I've proven it.
And you couldn't have done that being at the other
It-
company.
no,
It
I
seems
couldn't. I
like
wouldn't have had
you were
the
just
freedom.
you were just limited to what you could do.
I didn't have the freedom. So I read, I actually heard it somewhere. There was a gentleman talking. He said, we're all set to in this vicious cycle of thinking that we should work 40 hours a week, get to even a 6-figure salary, right? And then retire at 65. He's like, that's bullshit. I want to be making whatever salary I want.
Right.
Retire when I'm 40,
Right.
and then do what I want when I want to do
and,
it.
And that goes hand in hand with
Right.
knowing your worth.
and also you got to
knowing your
remember
value.
too, like inflation with all that kind of stuff too. Like 6 figures when we're 40 or 50 is not going to be a
nothing.
lot.
Listen,
Right.
I dropped out of high school when I was my junior year because I had dyslexia. Learned how to reread at 18 years old. Started going to college on my own. After paying for college, I'm like, this is a ridiculous waste of my money. Went out into the world, put my skills out there.
Right.
Now I'm a high school dropout with a GED who didn't finish college that's making 6 figures a year more, and I'm doing it on my terms.
Right.
Right.
I want to know how many lawyers, I want to know how many, how many engineers, how many, even doctors, how many of you are doing it on your own terms.
Right.
No. You are governed by a group of people that are telling you how to do it. Lawyers under the law, doctors under all that stuff. No, you're governed by
They're
people.
sheep.
Exactly.
They're sheep.
They're sheeple. They're not.
Sheeple.
And don't get me wrong. There's a place for people. It's not a knock. Trust me. I didn't have the discipline in my mind to change my way the way I needed to in order to operate in that society. No. I'm not saying not do it. If those are the people's goals and their prerogatives through their life, keep it. But I'm saying, don't undersell yourself. There are people out there that I've met that are doctors and they're doing it. I'm thinking, wow, this person could have just lived their life a little bit differently, and they could have been an Elon Musk and worth billions.
And they're still paying off their school.
And they're
too.
still paying
Yeah,
off their
exactly,
school.
yeah.
I had, exactly. I was just talking with somebody. Their daughter's finishing up her doctorate or her third doctorate in virology or something like that. Yeah, she's gonna be like $1.5 million in debt.
Oh my!
I'm sorry, but even if she got a job at $300,000 a year,
my
lived in a
God.
house in San Diego where she's at, and did that, she's never going to pay that house off. And even if she meets a man who's making double that, he has the same debt.
Yep.
It's like, really, that's your smartest move for somebody that got a Harvard degree? Is that you're going to do that? Great. That was a stupid ass move. You're very educated. Don't get me wrong. You're very book smart. That's fine. But I just want to give you an idea of the multiplication. The fact that I didn't do that, didn't pay that money, came from a poor house, worked my butt off, learned to understand the Regis society around me, learn how to communicate to it, and I'm going to be net worth more than you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think,
So-
and not in debt like that. Yeah, exactly. I think
It's
I think
scary.
college is a
No
scam
debt.
in a way.
It's scary that people are saying yes to that. It's like, yeah, I'm okay with like having a third
Sign up
doctorate
for
and
that.
having
Yeah.
so
See,
much-
instead, how I did, I'd rather be in debt with something that appreciates in value. You know.
House.
Now I get it. Like college, if you went through everything, you say you're in $500,000 in debt, but you have your degree. I guess it's making you money, but very slowly paying you back. You know, because you have to pay that off. Versus, I didn't go to college. I went to a trade school, but I'm probably like $250,000 in debt or whatever. But it's towards a house, so it's a little different. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like a totally different
It's all you got to
mindset too.
appreciate.
But I feel like college in a way is just almost like a scam in a way, just to take your money.
It is.
I mean,
I feel like it depends on
It depends on what you want. It depends on everybody's individual future
Yeah.
goals.
If you're an athlete, I feel like college, depending on where you're going. If you're going, if you want to be the best of the best, you want to be in the major leagues of whatever. If you're an athlete, you're gonna have to go to college.
right?
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can go. Sports could be its own darn podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
Society that, I'm not going to get what I know is that what I know is that based off of what people decide they want to do and they should. The biggest faults that I see right now is one, they don't teach people how to make those decisions, and they send them off to school without making decisions, so it's blindly sought after. That's unless your parents were taught, which most parents weren't.
yeah.
That even when you look at these individuals that are deciding to go to college to become a doctor and to become a scientist, they have those goals set young. They look at, they're like, okay, most of them that are successful are going to look at it and be like, all right, you know what? I'm finishing up my high school. I want to graduate top of my class. I want to be good at sports, and I'm going to use sports as a conduit to get a scholarship to go to a great school so I don't have to pay for it. And I'm going to go to this school with the idea of becoming a doctor or something else. That's where you see the really successful people, is because they have a plan in their head.
Right.
Where you see the people that don't do it are the people, I'm going to go become a nurse, or I'm going to go do this and that. Then they get into their second year, realize this isn't what they really want to do. So then they change majors, never really spent the time. They lost 2 years of the most important time for them to learn something. Keegan's dying. But
Allergies. Man.
yeah, it's all good. So it's it's kind of like, so that's where I feel like, I mean, I can't even go into school systems, and government, all that. I'm not gonna mess. Either way,
Yeah, you get so far into it too.
Yeah.
trade school is phenomenal. But my personal opinion, and I say it's personal opinion based off of what I've seen, unless you've made a decision to be 50 years old and still doing that trade every day,
Yep.
making just enough money to put away and invest, and living your life saying, all right, I'm going to pay for my kids' college, but when I do that, I'm going to be strapped for cash. Unless you plan on starting your own business in that trade, don't go to trade school.
Right.
And when I say that, That doesn't mean you're going to trade school, getting out of trade school, and starting business. What I'm saying is you go to trade school, work for a company that can show you how a business operates in that trade, learn a lot, make relationships, get a mentor, get a business coach, and then you decide, all right, I've been in this trade for 4 or 5 years. I want to go out and start my own thing in this niche. So that way I can coach other people and hire people through trade school to teach them and continue to grow that. You're wasting your time in your life.
See, I got really lucky because I didn't have to go to trade school for where I'm at right now. Because for as long as I could walk, I've always had a wrench in my hand too. You know, my father, he was
a penis.
But here it is. It's right here. Right here. But no, I got really lucky. I got to be thankful for my father, you know, because he was a mechanic for 25 years, ASE certified, GM Master Tech. And he, you know, he tinkered around with vehicles his whole life. He went to trade school and did his thing, but whenever it's time for me to like come back from college, because I was playing college football. I was going for business administration. You know, my father, whenever I was in middle school, he went back to college, got his associates, and now he works for AmTrust. He's a claims auditor and adjuster, and he does very well. He's a really smart guy, really, you know, biggest asshole you'll ever meet, but God, I love him to death. No, so whenever I came home and I was like, I got to find a job, blah, blah. Well, then I got in the automotive industry, and I'm just like, you know, all of this is like fucking Legos to me, you know, because I didn't have to go to the school for it. It's like, well, I already have this skill. If I can make money off of this skill and get me through for the next, you know, 5 years and figure out what I want to do with my life, that's okay. Because, you know, I'm making decent money and I'm, you know, granted, I'm taking it day by day.
But that trade also, though, like Steve was saying, like, and I had this mentality too, and I think we talked about it, and you do too. You want to own your own place, your own restoration shop. Mm-hmm. You know, if you have that mentality of I don't want to work for someone. I don't want to make someone else rich. I want to make myself rich. You know, so I'm working. Yeah, I'm working in that company to eventually be owning my own business. But some people will say, you know, well, you know, I don't want that stress. I'd rather just work through a company and just get paid, get a check. You know, just
retire at 65
and just get a check. and that's their mentality.
Well,
you know.
Well, see, I would much rather retire at like, you know, a younger age. We'll just take 40 for example. And with my retirement money, I'd rather open up my own GM restoration shop. Yeah. You know, that way I'm doing something I love, you know, and, you know, this is my passion and I'm not stressed about it. You know, I can find a few guys that are out there that have this.
But every business will probably bring stress. But if you have someone like run it too, though, like a GM, and then you poke in and stuff and do that, yeah.
No, here's what it comes. I think you're underselling yourself. If you're saying I want to start something when I go retire, do that with my retirement money, or just no, you're already done. Oh, yeah. You're done with your life. And when I'm saying don't do it now, there is a certain amount of experience you have to have. But I know. Okay, there's a company in Dallas, Texas. The owner's named Harmony. I'm not going to go into all the details. Harmony started a home inspection company with no experience in the industry, none whatsoever, and a female in the industry on top of that, which is very not sought out with trades, right? With trades, right? And in 7 years, built a $14 million home inspection company.
Wow, 7 years?
Yeah, 7 years.
Wow, that's crazy.
7 years now, and just by knowing how to making intelligent business decisions, knowing how to hold people accountable. Doing that, but there's something that she did, and she's my age. She's a little bit older than me, okay? So she's young too. So she's done this all and beat statistics left and right because she didn't let that hold her back. And you can tell that when you talk with her. Her mentality, her goals, what she is, she thinks, she looks, she analyzes, she goes through, and she makes her decisions, willing to change her decisions, and not hard set on it. So she's got that. And so when you talk about, listen, you guys are in your 20s. You always hear, man, if I can go back and talk to people in my 20s, I would tell myself this and that. No, if I went back to me in my 20s, I'd say, good luck, man. And I walk away because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it happened this way. It's not that. What it is understand how to listen to the advice that's given to you and determine how that fits your goal. But you need to be clear about your goal. And I warn you, don't make your goal too specific because that's how people get stressed.
Right.
Make your goal. By the time I'm 40, I want to be a millionaire. By the time I'm 40, I want to have my own company. Then you can backtrack and say, well, this is where I need to be here when I get there. And then if you're not there, if you feel like, man, I'm really not, I remember when I told myself I was going to do that, I'm not there. You need to stop and reanalyze your life. You need to stop and say, all right, do I need to change it? Do I need to stop traveling to other states? Do I need to focus on this pest control company? Do we want to have another kid? Is this house going to work? You need to really analyze where you are. And if you don't do that, you're pissing in the wind. I don't know if you ever heard that saying. You're just nothing. You're not doing anything good. You're killing yourselves out. And I've been that person. I've been that kid. I've been the one be like, oh man, what do I want to do with my life? You know, now I have a kid coming. Man, that's stressful. I'm getting married. Oh man, that's stressful. Right. No, it's not stressful. You should be excited. You know, people.
Well, there's a. It's so.
No.
You said stress and excitement and whatnot, but it just reminded me of that. There was like a study or something that what happens to your body whenever you're stressed and you're excited. There's like no difference.
Nope.
There is no. It's all in your head.
Yeah. It's all mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could be like all like jittery or whatnot, and I'm like, oh, I'm stressed. No, you are excited.
Mm-hmm.
You're not stressed. You just got to take it, look at it. Hey, like this is what it is. You know, if I keep thinking that I'm stressed, no, take a step back for a second.
So think about the mind for a minute. And I know we talked about this stuff a couple weeks ago, and he's all excited. So you're exactly right about mindset. All right. If every time you get to a position, whether it be getting married, having kids, starting a business, quitting a job to go work for whatever it is, you put yourself in that situation. If you coach your brain to think, I'm going to be successful, you're going to be successful.
It's going to happen naturally.
It's going to happen naturally.
Yeah, right.
If you think, oh man, what happens if I miss this payment? Oh man, what happens if, oh gosh, I just overdraft. Oh gosh, there's that. You're going to continue to go down that path.
Right.
It's like it's a toxic relationship with yourself. That's exactly what it is.
We had that like a conversation like that like a few Saturdays ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I sit there and I was like, oh my God, like you know, you were teaching us, right? And I've never paid attention to someone teaching like that. You know, not even in school.
It's true though,
right? But these past like probably like three weeks or so, I thought that I was like, no, just like whatever I tell myself in my mind, you know.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
People say write it on your mirror, like write it down, write down notes so you look at it every single day. You know, I believe that. Write down your goals and that kind of stuff so you see it, but it comes down to what's in your head and setting that mentality.
Yeah, the study was they took a couple hundred people and they actually took a couple hundred people and they said, what are your New Year's resolutions? Half of them they said just tell it to yourself every day. The other half they said we're going to put it on your mirror and you're going to look at it every day.
Mm-hmm.
90% of the people that put it on their mirror did it. Only 6% of the people who told themselves did it.
Wow.
Only 6% who told themselves did it, but 90% of the people that wrote it on their mirror ended up doing it.
Whether it be falling through and
they did it around. So it didn't matter if they were losing weight. Didn't matter if they were to be a billionaire. Who knows what they're but they did it.
They wrote it down and they saw it every day. It wasn't even the process of just like writing it down or something. It was more of like I see it every day and I'm thinking about it. They're acknowledging.
Every one of us are a psychologist stream. Explain why. We all have another mind in our mind that we only talk to on occasion, but has always been a part of us, so we don't have to have a conversation with unless you're clinically insane, right? is our subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing that, you're training, you're coaching your subconscious, and we don't even start to understand the power that it has over our everyday lives. We naturally cannot even comprehend it because of how quickly it controls your breathing, it controls your heart rate, it controls all these things that you have to think so hard to try to control, and it's because it's a much powerful computer. It's literally like having your subconscious is the entire internet, and your web browser's your conscious brain. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff out there going on that you literally have to go into a search bar and type it in and look at.
Yeah.
And your subconscious has all that data and that information.
Yeah.
You just need to figure it out. So when
you got to figure out a way to tap into it.
You have to coach it.
Right.
So if I'm running, think about it this way: the communication between your brain, your subconscious brain, your conscious brain has to have better SEO, search engine optimization, in order for it to find what it needs. So if you start thinking about it, literally how the internet works, if you start coaching your conscious brain to look for this, and your subconscious has this phenomenal search engine optimization, you are able to think about things differently, remember things differently. You start having different habits in your life. You start working out. You start eating right. Like, wait a minute, why is all this stuff happening? It's because your subconscious knows already that these are all the best things you should be doing for yourself. You just don't know how to communicate with it.
Right.
That's crazy. What do you... That's crazy. So what do you recommend or what's your advice on people right now that are lost in their career, whether they be like not knowing what they're doing, let's say, you know, for instance, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're just lost. They don't know. What's your advice? Like, what would you give to those people that are listening?
What if? So think about this. What if? What if all those times you said you were going to do something you wanted to do, you actually did it? What if all the times you said you were going to set goals for yourself, wake up and work out, you actually did it? What if all the times you said, I want to be successful, I no longer want to be in debt, I hate getting overdrafts, I hate missing my bills, I hated doing all this, I'm going to change it, and you actually did? What if? I have met people in every age range. So me being young and successful, historically, I have been in charge of people much more experienced in life than me. And I'm going to say it, everybody, when I say it, they're older than me, but they're much more experienced in life, right? That have given up, that are just, that have tried and failed. And because they failed, they revert back to a sense of, I don't want to take any more risk, whatever that is, right? I had an individual that I was working with another company, and I had done this week-long training. 3 days of it were with their technicians. And went through, all right, guys, it's all good. Eating a donut over. It's like, all right, guys, I really got them. They're amped. And to give you a concept of the room, there were some middle-aged people, some younger guys. I think the youngest was in his 20s. And then there was this guy that was a little bit older, experienced, right? Guys, this needs to happen. Listen, we can do this. You have the ability. Here's a motivation. Here's what you need to do. Not only is it motivation, here's a detailed outline of what you need to do when you get there to be successful to help take your mind off of it. So now you can focus inward on what needs to change, not worrying about what's coming out of your mouth, right? And before we had this meeting, I was talking with the owners, and I'm like, let's talk about your people, right? And there was one person that kept coming up that they were concerned that wasn't going to take the change. And I'm like, well, I'm just letting you know now, from my experience, this isn't going to work out possibly this week with what's going to happen. And I'm like, are you willing to let this person go? Because from what you're telling me, they don't match your culture. And they're like, you're absolutely right. This person doesn't. And I'm like, all right, well, we need to have a plan in place for if this doesn't work out. We wanted to. We spent the money for them to come out here. This wasn't a part of our initial conversation. We want this to work out. And they're like, yeah, we do want to. They have a lot of experience to bring to the table, good people, something like that. And no, this person, whatever. 25. So we do the training. It's like, yep, we'll have everything ready in case we need to move schedules. It's in a different market, blah, blah, blah. Person came in the middle of the first day, actually, about noonish. Literally in the middle of me communicating, and what was happening was, he kept on giving me well, what if? So I saw this happen, and I acknowledged this person's concerns through this entire. I'm like, you know what, you're right. And the other people were getting a little frustrated. I'm like, no, you guys need to understand this person's experience. They've been through this before,
right? And
they have questions about it, and you all need to listen. So I was giving this person.
So the experienced person is asking questions,
correct? But doing so in a combative manner. But I was acknowledging the fact that wasn't the intent. I wasn't letting that person get under my skin. And I was like, no, listen to this. This person is smart, been doing it for a long time. Everybody listen. And I was legitimate because if that was the intent the person had, I wanted it to be heard.
Right.
In my mind, I kind of figured that was happening because I've been through this. So
you were helping them out with.
I wasn't making it seem like I was the bad guy. I kept on saying, guys, listen to this guy. He's got a lot of experience. Which you guys don't get frustrated with what he's saying. Really listen to it. Keegan, if you want that to stop, drop the long one back and extend the skinny one, and it'll counterweight itself so it doesn't lean. So push. Yep. Now lock it. And now extend the skinny one. Sorry, I'm helping Keegan with his mic.
There you go.
Now like old times.
Now
man.
pull it all the way out. There you go. See, there you go. Counterweight, baby.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So either way, I've got this guy's there sitting at the table, and I'm not letting him get under my skin. So around lunchtime, right before we got to lunch, I'm talking about, all right, what does this look like going forward? Well, there's going to be accountability. We're going to hold you guys accountable to what you're doing, right? And they started talking about accountability, and everybody's heads are nodding around the table except for this guy. And I'm watching him, and he's looking around at everybody agreeing with me. And he's like, oh, I'm done. And I'm like, excuse me? He's like, oh, I'm done. I'm like, done for today? Or he's like, no, I'm done. I don't want to do this. I'm like, you know what? I really appreciate you being honest, everybody. Let's acknowledge that couldn't have been easy for you. I really appreciate that. I wish you the best. Michael's going to see you out. And
yeah.
so
It was a mental thing.
it was a mental thing. So walks out, goes out, all that stuff. Like everybody's like, okay. And I think there was a surprise that I wasn't like, oh no, stay. It was like, okay, you know what? I appreciate that.
That's what you want to do.
We accept your resignation. I looked, everybody go with this. The people I need to look at, they're like, yeah, we're good with this. We already knew that this guy wasn't going to want to change. And then we hated that because he had so much experience. Then walked out and that was it. That was
Wow.
it. Bye. And you know what's to this day, the other technicians come and say, gosh, we need to get rid of that guy a long time ago. And I'm like, when you have that, it's all about mindset. And so you talk about people like, younger people. When I was out there, because I'm not going to get into details, but he had a long way to go, so it was really about travel. I went out there because we had to get keys and stuff like that. And he's like, I've met people like you who've told you we could do this and that. It just turns into a crock of this and that. And I'm like, he's like, I don't do, and he's like going off on me. And I'm like, hey man, I'm like, real quick. I'm like, I just have one question for you. I'm like, what if? I'm like, what if this time that isn't what happened? What if this time it actually worked out? What if you were able to retire 5 years early? And he didn't know what to say. He was awestruck that I would ask him yet again, what if? And he didn't have an answer for me. And after I asked him that, because he wasn't wanting to give up the keys, he's like, here's the trucks, man. I'm done with this. And he just sat on his tailgate and gave up until the person came and picked him up, and they took him out. So because I was right, and he couldn't fight me on it. I was just there, and the other guy was there. Was like, what happened? And I'm like, I just asked him, what if? I'm like, what if that would have worked out? What if this did work out exactly how I said to? Because right now it is. That guy could have potentially made an extra 10 grand since I've been there in his pocket because
he has that what if. So like you could relate that to kind of what I was saying is like what if you stuck with whatever you're having those like if you're planning on leaving your job, like what if you stayed a little bit longer, or like, so are you thinking,
or what if you didn't,
well, let me tell you what if it's like a 50-50.
When I was working at Terminix, my first year, I sold $389,000 in pest control business. Because of that, they made me a manager. Okay, I was just my new wife, Sarah, was just pregnant with our first boy, and my options. Now, mind you, I was getting paid 10% commissions plus I had my regular commissions I got from servicing. So 10% of $398,000 on top of $30,000 a year. $70,000-$80,000.
That's nice.
And I was making that, and I had to make a decision to take half of that to become a manager at a salary of $40,000 a year. And I was 24 at this time.
What year was it?
This was 2013.
So 40,000.
So, and I had a son on the way. So I was going to take a pay cut. I was buying a house, but it was going to give me an opportunity to get into management.
That's
and
risk.
See another. So when you talk about what ifs, and you know what, this is the truest thing I've ever heard. When you die, you regret the things you didn't do, not the things you did. So, I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what, screw it. I didn't spend my life doing other stupid decisions like drinking and driving and all that shit. So I'm like, or even drugs. I'm like, all right, let's make a decision. I'm like, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna be a manager. And the first time I did it, I failed miserably.
That's okay.
Oh, I failed. I was cocky. I was arrogant. I was everything a 20-year-old manager who had people that were 30, 40 years older than him would act like. It was you have a damn job to do your damn job. I'm your manager. That's it. How what do you need? And I failed. But what I found out real quickly is it humbled me very quickly. Very quickly. I knew exactly what it was. I remember meeting with the owners and talking with them, and afterwards he's like, you took that really well. I'm like, I knew it was happening. I'm like, I appreciate you guys bumping it up a bit because now I can reset. Now I can learn. I can back away from it, learn from what happened, mend my bridges. If I pissed anybody off that was my friend, get that and go forward. And that's what I did. Never looked back.
Awesome.
Wow.
I'll never be that guy again.
Awesome. It took you to fail to
It took me to fail. It took me to fail. So I even think about, when I'm doing starting up this pest control company, I had a couple people work for me. Both I had high ambition. One was a closer friend than another. One with a lot of experience, one with some experience. Neither of them with the management experience like I need. And that's very specific. They have experience, not like I needed. And I wasn't afraid to fail with them. like, listen, if you're my friend, if this doesn't work out, we'll just keep going on with life. Like, yeah, cool. And that's what's happened.
Right.
I went a little bit different. It was like, it was kind of like they wanted to, but it got to the point where they had to make the decision, and they couldn't make the decision, so they copped out.
Mm.
And that to me was a little bit more. That was a lot more disappointing on me. That one
Right.
was, and the other one, because the other one was a mutual. This one was like, all right, we're going to the next step now. We have to hold people accountable. We got to manage. You ready for this? I've known you for 5 years. We're ready to go, right? Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, and then got married.
Right.
That literally, no, they were engaged for a while. It was just like, that opportunity to man up or get out came, and it was like, no, I'm going to play it safe.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? I don't think that person is making nearly as much.
Because
it was about money, then it wasn't about money.
You stay in your comfort zone too.
There's beauty in experiencing failure and having that experience of failure.
If you're not failing, you're not doing something right.
Nope. You're right. You need to be failing. If you're not failing, you're not trying. That's what it is. And if you're not trying, you're going to always be exactly where you are. And you're always going to go in the same circle. You're going to get up with the courage to be like, all right, you know what? I'm sick of this place. I'm going to quit. When I left every job that I left, I never left it because I was sick of it. I want to make that clear. I left it because it was a decision for me to put myself in a better position in life.
Yep.
Like even now, if I was me still working for the previous company, I would still be proud of myself. Because I'd still be being successful, I would be growing, would it be at the same level or the same speed I am now? Absolutely not.
Right.
But I made a decision and it's working out for me, but it's also opened my eyes to a completely different world that I was not coached in, and you guys still don't even have an idea about, of how truly easy mentally it can be to start your own business, and how if you just gave yourself a little bit of credit instead of being scared, everybody in here could be millionaires in the next 36 months. Easy. Now, when I say easy, with a lot of work.
Right.
But a lot of discipline, which is the things that typically you don't find in younger people, the discipline to not pick up a beer.
Go out partying and
go for 30 days where every day you wake up at 5 a.m. Every day. I don't care. Every day. Yeah. 5 a.m., right? Yeah. Right? Then make it where at least every other day you're doing some sort of strictly physical activity. Don't drink any alcohol. Don't smoke any weed. Don't smoke any cigarettes. Don't intake anything like that for a month. And tell me how you feel afterwards.
Honestly, that'd be a good challenge.
I think.
Tell me how.
Honestly, that's very motivating because
we're capable of it.
Tell me how you feel after. And you know what? Another thing, look into what kind of vitamins you should be taking.
Oh my God.
Eat the proper diet.
Yep.
And when I say proper diet, everybody's got their opinion. Everything you buy from everywhere is whatever, GMO, whatever. I don't care. You can still eat healthy. And so I don't work out to live. I work out to eat what the hell I want to when I want to. Right. But I don't drink alcohol. I mean, I the last time I think I actually had a significant amount of alcohol was with you guys. And
we're bad.
But no, that was, it was a treat to myself.
Right.
You can treat yourself, right?
Yeah.
But it makes it that much more enjoyable, right?
It makes it that much more enjoyable.
True, yeah.
Prior to that, the last time I had alcohol was probably 2 or 3 months, maybe around Christmas time.
Right.
So, I mean, I just don't. I mean, correct. The first time I ever smoked weed, I was 36 years old. I mean, that's because I just had family that didn't want to do it. And at this point, my opinion on it's different because I've educated myself, but that's it.
Right.
And it's like, there's so much that is scary. And I know because I've been there. And there's failure on every corner. But what you do is you mitigate the risk by saying, hey, I want to bring, I have somebody said, don't ever hire somebody And I'm like, no, what it means is you don't have a relationship with that person to communicate them what the expectations are prior and what failure looks like and how that affects your relationship beforehand. If you can do that with somebody and set those expectations, hey, I want you to come work for me, but by the way, if this doesn't work out, it doesn't affect our friendship. I'm going to be different. I'm going to be a different person than we are as friends. I have to because that's my job. And I'm going to expect more from you than I would maybe a friend because this affects your future and my future. And I'm taking that into consideration. But if this doesn't work out, just communicate with me and be honest and we'll be fine. That's it.
Right.
Hey, Steve, I don't think this is working out. I need to start looking for another job. This isn't right for me. I want to go in another direction. Awesome. How can I help you get to your other direction? What do I need to do? Well, then, no, let's work your notice. That's fine. You need me as a reference? what do you need to do? I'm not trying to get rid of
Right.
you, but at the same time, why the hell would I fight you if you don't
Right,
want to
if
be
you don't wanna
be here, yeah.
That means now
Yeah.
what that means is I get to go back and reevaluate myself of what can I have done differently to teach and coach this type of person who I obviously saw some sort of ability in. Where did I fail? And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a good thing. I'm learning something. But the only way for me to learn is risk that. Risk
Right.
those relationships, risk my friends, risk the people, risk my time. But you have to make those risks to learn.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and some people just aren't into it, like for instance, I did the welding,
Yeah.
I started doing that. I was like, honestly, I like doing this as a hobby, but I hate doing it as a career.
I've
Like, this sucks.
I've heard plenty of people say don't turn your hobby into a job.
Yes,
I've heard yeah, that's what I think. I think that's it depends.
Yeah, it depends. I guess it depends on how you look at it too.
it depends on the individual's emotional intelligence and capability to know themselves.
Yeah.
People think they know themselves. No, you know a part of yourself. If you really know yourself, you know what's going to get you up in the morning. You know what's going to put you down. You know what to do when you're angry. You know what it is
Right.
when you're upset to make you feel better. That's you need to know yourself.
Oh yeah.
I think it starts with that and really truly finding what you like and enjoy to do, and then relate that towards your career.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I don't want to be laying on my deathbed regretting so much that I didn't do.
right? Yeah, I mean,
That's scary.
we're here for such a short time, so it's like, people always say too, life's not short. You just got to do more. What that saying means is don't work your 8-hour shift every day. Wake up a little earlier, stay down. After work, do your hobby, get into something a little more. But people are so stuck on like working a 40-hour a week job, having off Saturday, Sunday, and then going right back to it. And then retiring at 60, like we were talking about, and then you only have 20 years left of your life.
It almost starts to feel like you're working just for the weekends, and then you blink twice and the weekends are gone, and then
Exactly. Then you restart.
Then you feel like a number. You're just a
number, and you're just restarting. That's how I feel like the society makes us.
Yeah.
You know what happens a lot of times with people. The weekends become the treat they deserved from working the entire week. I'm sorry, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you work, you don't deserve shit
No.
until you get yourself in a position where you and your family have a better future.
Right.
Once you've gotten yourself in a position where you, your family, the people that you love and care about have a better future because of what you did during the week, until then, your ass wakes up every weekend at 5 a.m.
Yep.
And what you do is instead of going to an office to work, you're working on your life and your family. That's your other job.
Oh yeah.
And you need to have that job on the weekends. For me, my wife gives me shit. Like yesterday, for example, I sat around yesterday. And she's like, "Oh, you sitting around today?" I'm like, "Yeah." And you want to know why? Because I had to teach her a damn lesson. I'm not gonna get into that. She does her baking, but she takes on way too many orders, and it affects her. But I've told her this, and since she doesn't learn from me telling her, I have to show it to her. The way I'm going to show it to her is
You're going to take a break.
I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to let her do what she should be doing, and she's going to learn the hard way. But she's a lot like me, which is why I love her.
Right.
I know I'm able to read the situation like this is how I would teach me.
Because you've done that.
Exactly.
You've been in that position. You're able to I'm laughing at you because
and then a day like today, I'm up early, and she's like, "Oh, you can get up early." And I'm like, "Yeah, I can," because I'm not teaching them a lesson. So it's kind of
one thing that kind of sparked my mind. People. I've heard this so many times. People always say it relates to us more than anything. I'm sure you can relate to it at some point. But people are like, you're so young. You're 20 something. You should be out every night. Like my boss has told me this. He's like, so what do you do whenever you go home? I'm like, I go home, I shower, I try and stay active for a little bit, and then I go to bed at 9:00, and I wake up at. Recently I've been waking up at 6, but sometimes I've been waking up at 5 to 6, and he's like, dude, you're 20 years old. Like I was out every night, blah blah blah. So it was like, I almost want to look at him and say, "Fuck you," Dude,
I want to be 40 years old and out every night. I mean that in a nice way. At 40 years old, I want to be in the Maldives out every night. I want to be in Vegas with my wife, walking around and having fun every night. I don't want to do it in my 20s.
No.
That's when I'm the most energetic and impressionable.
Exactly.
But they say if you work in your 20s, your 30s. Well, if you work all throughout your 20s, then you can enjoy your 30s. Instead of the other way around, people enjoy their 20s and then get serious in their 30s. Mm-hmm. If you really work in your 20s, then you can enjoy your 30s.
Right.
That's my brother even said that to me too, and it kind of stick with me. It's kind of true. Work hard now.
Yeah,
your brother's right.
So, and sometimes I do get myself a little bit worked up to where I'm just I want to hit the ground, go, but at the same time, you can work, you can do your thing, stay at, but like slow down, take you know.
Yeah.
I never give that moment of like, I guess that meditation.
I challenge you, the next time your boss asks you that, and truly do this, have yourself set up where it says, what did you do over the weekend? I spent the weekend reading some self-help books, some business understandings. I did some communication with my mentor, and I figured out what I need to do to take it to the next level. Watch what your boss looks at you.
I have literally thought of saying something like that to him. He would look like a deer in headlights.
I know, exactly. Because
like, am I losing an employee? What is happening?
going on? Are you okay?
But you know what? You need to.
Right.
Because you need to be that boss thinking
Right.
that you've got other people that are working for you now.
Right.
That you want to build that into them. If right now I continue to do what my goal is, which is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to bring people on that I become a coach and a mentor for. That's it. I'm no longer bringing on employees. I'm going to have some, but the ones that are going to be directly working with me aren't going to be those people. The people working with me are people that I'm going to mentor, people that I'm going to coach, and people that I'm going to teach how to leave me if they wanted to, but value the information and the coaching to stay. And that's where it's going to be. So I'm in several large groups of companies and owners. One of them, it's IEB, PEB. It's this group of inspection people. And we were talking about employees. And they're like, well, aren't you afraid you're going to lose them? Well, yeah, but I want that for them.
You want to be able to grow.
I'm setting myself with, if that happens, and like, oh man, I just got an offer to run this other company for somebody. Awesome.
Like, dude,
that sucks for me, but that's awesome. But it does suck for me in slight inconvenience. But at the same time, if I'm mentoring people, I'm gonna have somebody else I'm gonna want to mentor in your spot.
Yeah, you're gonna have another guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're gonna
not
have
only
someone
that.
else.
Hey, we had a great relationship when you're there. If you ever run into somebody that you think I can use on my team, let me know. Hey, when you go to run this other company, if you run into a situation where you're having trouble coaching people, and it's maybe something I helped you coach through, call me up and let me teach you how to be that coach.
Mm-hmm.
Then that becomes that's karma. Karma's a bitch, but she can help you a lot.
That's also why you don't burn your bridges.
Love karma.
Don't burn your bridges with whoever you leave end on good terms, and you help each other out and then grow.
Some bridges are nice to burn though.
Some.
Well,
it depends. It depends though.
If that bridge isn't helping my ROI,
well, that's not always true. It all depends on how you're defining your ROI.
Yeah.
Too. I'm a firm believer of karma. If you don't always get paid for what you do in karma. It's even like service. I think about technicians that would quote unquote ghost write tickets where they never actually showed up to the house, and those people, if not now, eventually are going to get their karma. Then I think about the people that I know in my life who have always gone through and done that little bit extra. They did what they needed to do when they knew no one was looking. They decided to do it instead of getting away with it. And those are the people that have been historically happier in my life than the people that try to do the minimum.
happiness is big.
It's massive.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing too, like spreading, surrounding yourself with people that you can grow with.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And my friend group is just shrinked tremendously, you know, and that's honestly a good
I love
thing.
that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
That's oh god.
I mean, I have lots, like, you guys are my friends, like, and I do, but we start to get to know each other. I literally off the top of my head, I have one friend I can think of that truly knows me, Liz. Liz is awesome. Liz has been my lifelong friend since ever. I've known her longer than I know my life. But Liz and we can go for a year without talking to each other. Pick up the phone.
Right where you left off.
Right where we are in our lives, always parallel one way.
Yep.
It's like, oh, are you doing good? I am doing good. Are you not doing good? Neither am I. It's like we
cool.
fit that. And, excuse me. And that's so like, and I think I was telling you this, Anthony. You are the sum of the 5 closest people that influence your life. That's it. Think about the 5 closest people you have influencing your life. However that looks, even if some are further away because you only have 3 and then 2 are like a teacher or something, it doesn't matter. The 5 closest people influence you. Take what their lives look like. That's you. If you want to change the way your life looks like,
you are who you surround yourself with.
Exactly.
You want to change your life, then you have to surround yourself. Not saying you have to get rid of those people.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, so good example. Maybe you have toxic parents that maybe went through a tough time. They were young. They made stupid decisions. Doesn't mean you cut off your parents.
No.
They just aren't the biggest influence in your life anymore.
Right.
Then you go and you add people in your life that are good influences and you spend more time with those people.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying you separate yourself from your parents' relationship. You just understand that's what that relationship is.
Right.
That you're not there to fix them. You might want to, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're there to help them
right.
in any way. And what you're doing in the long term is going to be better for them than what you're doing now.
God, I can relate. I can relate to that.
Yeah,
So
true.
well.
Oh, that is so true.
Yeah, that's what it is. See, like for me, I was lucky because the majority of my parents were the two people closest, but I lucked out with parents. But as I grew older, like right now, I still talk to my parents on a daily basis, just about during the week, and that's great because we have a good adult relationship that way. But at the same time, other than maybe my mom, not so much my dad, I'll talk to him about business. But my wife, I don't talk to her about work. She's not my biggest influence in my life for work. She is for home, but not for work.
Right.
I have other people who she's never even met that are a bigger influence in my work. And they kind of are coaching me. And I've spent the last year especially changing those people and really putting high-end people in place that are going to help me influence my life going forward.
Right.
And and it's vice versa. I want to be able to help them the same way.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's a really good way of looking at it, too. I mean, to be like a... Because you interview a lot of people and stuff, and to be able to have people under you, that's pretty cool as a boss to be like, wow, like, that's what my boss wants for me, like, truly. Like that's such a good feeling if I was an employee to feel that way, like that.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Krispy Kreme Donuts to get you guys donuts today before I came here, and the girl behind the counter was really peppy and happy, and she was having a good time. And I'm like, hey, I want a dozen donuts, half glazed, and the rest whatever you want. And she picked them out and put them in color coordination because she thought it was pretty. And she's like, I really enjoy what I did, and I hope you like it. She's like, I really didn't go for flavor, I went for looks. And there you are. She had them, and she so she even had them. Yeah, you're looking at it now. She had them separate. She did a great job.
God.
You know what I did? I gave that girl a business card that said, I want you to join my team. With
Really?
my phone number on it.
That's awesome.
And I said, hey, think about this. And she's working on a Sunday morning. She probably doesn't want to work
But
Sunday
smile
morning.
on her face.
Smile.
She's having the
She's
best
happy.
time.
I don't give a shit. She works at Dunkin' Donuts. She's got that attitude. And she's on Sunday morning. This girl's working at a Dunkin' Donuts on a
Smile on
Sunday
her
morning,
face.
8 a.m.
So happy.
Smile on her face, putting freaking donuts in there, having a great old time, regardless of the people
Right.
around her that weren't happy. And she's just laughing. I'm like, I want you in my office. You're awesome.
Right.
Shit. Give me that. Give me 10% of that attitude
Right.
and I'm willing to learn.
Bring
And
that energy.
And you are going to
Bring
be
the-
running your own
Yep.
department in a year and a half.
And that spreads off on other people, too.
Yeah.
It's almost like giving forward,
Every morning I come into work, I hate it because I live the furthest away, but I'm always the first one there. No, everyone shows up at 8:00, 8:07, 8:10. A little annoying, but that's okay. But I always walk in. Good morning. How's it going? Blah blah blah. And the whole drive there, I'm already thinking about, okay, when I go into work, what do I have to do? I set up my toolbox. What am I working on? What do I need to measure? What do I need to take pictures of and stuff? I already got my whole day planned out. That way I can hit the ground running. Open up shop, hit the ground running. But I'm all like, how's it going? But everyone else just has such a negative attitude. But I'm drinking my coffee. I'm whistling. They hate that I whistle. They hate that I whistle. I'm always whistling tunes. They hate it. I walk around and my shoes, they squeak. But I love it. It calms my brain down. I'm walking around squeaking. They're all pissed off at me. Like, you got to get different shoes. I'm like, nah, I like my shoes. I like my little squeaky shoes. But it's like, I just have this jumpity. But all of these people are just like.
Right.
And you let them.
Yeah.
I think so. When I was working for this company, one of the first after landscaping big companies I worked for. My dad used to work there. There was this guy there that was a quote unquote lead tech, and he was already in his mid to late 30s. And I'm just thinking about they had a very, some people, it's right. I'm not knocking it, but he had a very quote unquote union-esque mentality of I've been here longer, so that means I have superiority. Which is, to me, it's not.
It's like
you
to
haven't
an
really
extent.
you haven't proven what you can do. You
Yeah.
haven't shown you can grow people. You haven't shown anything that's valuable to me.
Experience
the
is more
company.
than just.
And it was funny because when I left there, I was talking with my dad, and I made a prediction about where that person would be in 15 years. And guess what? I was right. Guess what? This little punk kid that was making suggestions to him in a polite way, probably not in the best way because I was a punk kid, was always happy and peppy at work, laughing, had a good time, ran around, all these things that person hate. I didn't let him knock it down. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? You don't have to be so this. Literally told me don't work so fast because then we're all going to be expected to do it. I had somebody tell me that, and that's when I knew that this person was full of shit. And so I'm like, all right. So I still did me. I did me until I figured out it wasn't for me to be me there, and I left. And I made a prediction. Guess what? This little punk kid probably made twice as much money in his life at 36 than you did at 54, jerk. Yep. So you're retired, getting your little bit.
It's that good little silent
Guess what? Yeah. Guess what? My paycheck last week was more than yours. And if it's not about money, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not miserable in my 40s. I have a plan that by then I'm going to be able to spend all my time with my kids, and I'm going to be able to take them to good places and be comfortable with them without sitting there having to go to work for 40 hours a week. How does that feel? Screw the paycheck. Hudak. How does that feel? I get to
exactly.
watch my kids grow up and be a big part of their life in a
Right.
very inspirational way to where I don't have to be there from 8 to 5 every day during the week.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah. How does that? So
Oh,
that's
I
kind
love
of
that.
that's how I see it.
I love that.
Gosh, that's so true. There's so much we could talk about. We can go on and on with you,
Oh,
Steve.
my
I think we're
goodness.
gonna have to have another episode with you on.
We
Yeah, we
are.
definitely
We
have to.
are.
Oh, that was just work,
I'm just,
man.
I
Oh,
know
my
I'm not
goodness.
saying a lot, but I'm literally taking everything you're saying.
I'm
in.
paying
Like
attention.
I'm just
I'm-
taking it in.
Well,
and I'm like noting it.
yeah.
I know
You
you're
what I'm
taking it.
saying? I love you, Steve.
Oh.
I missed you, man.
I missed you too. I missed you too.
Oh,
that's,
man.
that's cool, dudes. I appreciate being on, and yeah, I definitely will come back. I'm going to be in the Carolinas for the foreseeable future now, so
Rock on.
That's gonna be awesome. I'm so looking forward to that.
yeah, I'm excited.
And maybe we'll have you come out and see the new Boosted Outbreak and how we sound.
Hell yeah,
You haven't heard us in
dude.
a while, dude. We're a different band now.
I like
Your
it.
jaw's gonna drop.
Oh, not just,
Again.
and my panties.
Well, Steve,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming out, man. It was an honor having you on this podcast.
Love it.
and-
Love
and
it so
We're so
much.
excited
Love it,
for the
man.
future to have you on more. And also, big shout out to you for fixing our sound, the technical
Oh, yeah.
difficulties. Steve fixed
So
that.
now we can record whenever now. We're good.
Yeah,
We
we're
don't have
gonna
to...
save everything, get everything
Yeah.
dialed in. We're good. We're good.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Well,
Thank you for tuning in.
We will see you guys next week.
Thanks for having me.
subscribe to the Hallway Club. Later.
Later, guys.
Later.
Bye.
Oh man. Ooh, almost
God, I could do that all day.
Dude, that was fun.
I was so comfortable right here, man.
Yeah, dude, that was good. Steve, you're amazing, bro.
Absolutely. Had fun.
Yeah.